This free hypnosis lesson is part of a series of 6. If you'd like to download all 6 hypnosis lessons completely free of charge, please go to freehypnosislessons.com.
Hello there and welcome to lesson 2. In this lesson we're going to discuss the first stage of the hypnotic process, and that's the pre-induction talk. Now this section is very usually overlooked because most people are too eager to get straight on with the induction process itself, but this is where the induction actually starts, so it's much more interesting than most people give it credit. The pre-induction talk is your chance to prime the client. It appears to be an informal chat used to gather information, but it also gives you the chance to throw in a bunch of powerful embedded commands. Now some of these will be used to aid the therapy, and others are going to be used to ensure a much faster induction. Now you'll also be increasing rapport with your client at this stage, as well as gathering important information that you can use to create the therapy. All of this goes on without your client realising. From their perspective, you're just having a friendly chat. So let's get sneaky. First off, embedded commands. Now embedded commands are suggestions that you hide inside your normal conversation. They're aimed directly at the client's subconscious mind, and they really help you to achieve a desired outcome. These commands are not limited to hypnosis. You can use them in every area of your life to get practically anything that you desire. Now to make your command, first you need to decide what you want your client or your subject to do. Then you hide this command inside a sentence. For example, go into trance is a great command, and you're going to be using this very often. A fantastic sentence that you can hide that inside is, when you go into trance, you'll still be able to hear my voice. Now you don't want to pick it out that obviously. Pick it out in a nice subtle way. So you'll say something like, when you go into trance, you'll still be able to hear my voice. Next, in our hypnotic language toolbox, we can make presumptions. You can use these to offer a false choice to your client. For example, you could say something like, I don't know if you will go into trance immediately. It will take a few minutes to relax yourself and really enjoy the process. Here you present 2 options. Both are to go into trance. They can either go into trance immediately or after a few minutes. You don't even consider the option of not entering trance at all, and neither will they. Also, you might have noticed in that sentence we had a few opportunities for embedded commands. We used the go into trance command, and we also used a couple of others that I'm sure you noticed towards the end. To become a really good hypnotist, just think of some useful commands that you'd like to give to the client, and then practice hiding these inside sentences that you're likely to use during the pre-hypnotic chat. You'll also need to use this time to remove any misconceptions about trance, and you can do this with the information that you learned in your first lesson. During your pre-hypnotic chat, you'll need to increase your level of rapport with the client, so listen out for the kind of words that they use and speak in the same language they do. Now people generally fall into 3 categories. Some people use visual words a lot, and they say things like, I see what you mean. Others think in sounds, and they're likely to say, that sounds good to me. And others tend to think in feelings. They talk a lot slower, and they tend to use phrases like, yeah, I can really grasp that concept. If your client's using visual phrases, then you should too. This will dramatically increase your rapport levels. If you can maintain a high level of rapport, your client will be more relaxed in your company. They'll trust you more, and you'll even be able to use this to pace their experience and then lead them into the trance state. You should practice your standard phrases in each system so that you can use the appropriate one when needed. For example, you could use the phrase, how does that look to you? How do you feel about this? Or how does that sound? They all mean the same thing, but you'll gain rapport with different people if you use them in different circumstances. Once you have rapport with your client, begin to slightly slow things down and move everything to a more relaxed pace. Your client will instinctively follow your lead in order to maintain that sense of rapport with you. You can see this happening all the time around you. If 2 people are in rapport, when one person changes, after a while the other one will follow. Now it's time to start practicing. So I want you to go and chat to anyone and see how long it takes you to work out which system they're using. Remember, we've got visuals, we've got auditory, and we've got kinesthetic, and that's the feeling approach. Once you've discovered which system a person is using, put yourself into that system too. Gain rapport with people, and then see if you can make them more relaxed or more excited, just by changing your own state a little at a time. Also remember to practice those embedded commands. Try to think of words that have a double meaning, as these are really good for hiding your suggestion. Perhaps the most prolific use of embedded commands is in the sales industry. The buy now command is used extensively in advertising. A salesman will have to sum up the main points of an offer and repeat the phrase buy now several times in an attempt to sway your decision. You might have heard phrases such as, I imagine by now you have a good idea of what you're looking for, Or perhaps, I've covered most of the options for you, so by now you should be able to make the right decision. Although the word buy is used in a different context to purchasing, the command buy now is highlighted, it goes straight to your subconscious mind, and it's accepted as a command to buy that product now. Think of some commands that you'd like to try yourself. Hide these inside sentences and have some fun practicing. For example, let's suppose that you want someone to make you a cup of tea when you get in from work. So you want the words make, cup and tea hidden in a sentence. We can use that very simply in a sentence such as, I didn't think I'd ever make it back. I was a couple of minutes stuck at that T-junction behind some learner driver, it just wouldn't pull out. Now don't make it as obvious that, just make it sound natural. God, I didn't think I'd make it back today. I was a couple of minutes stuck at that T-junction behind some learner driver, it just wouldn't pull out. If you're going to say a sentence like that, highlight those words in a very subtle way and their subconscious mind will pull them together to make that new sentence. Make cup tea. And then, if that person accepts your suggestion, they'll make you a cup of tea. Practice using these, but don't abuse people. If they make you some tea or buy you a drink, make sure you return the favour. It will take you some time and some effort to prepare these suggestions, but once you've got a few good ones ready, you can use them again and again. Hiding embedded commands in your pre-hypnotic chat is easy. You have so many opportunities to use a phrase like when you go into trance. People want to know what they're going to experience. So you have, when you go into trance, you'll still be able to hear my voice. When you go into trance, you'll feel relaxed. All of these things are so simple to include in that pre-hypnotic chat, and your client won't notice them at all. Another clever little trick is to prefix your command with the phrase if you don't. For example, let's pretend that someone is a little bit self-conscious about going to a party and you want to encourage them to have a good time. You could say, if you don't enjoy the party, you could always come home early, as opposed to saying something like, if you're having a rubbish night, just come home early. Both these things say exactly the same thing, but you've got that embedded command there, enjoy the party. By giving a little bit of thought to the way that you structure your sentences, you can put embedded commands into all sorts of circumstances. That make conversations with your boss extremely interesting, so think about some of the commands you'd like to give out there. This is very, very easily abused, so if you're going to make someone do something, just as practice, make sure that you do something nice back for them too, or tell them what you've done, and then teach them the techniques so they can go and have fun with it. I'll see you again in your third lesson, which is all about the second stage of trance, and that's the actual induction process. Until then, play with what you already know and take care. Bye bye.